Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
On SimSpeed TV, it's time for Ozicar Tin Top Cup from Mobility Resort Motegi, probably more famously known as Twin Ring Motegi. It's time for Ozicar to go racing. David Haynes here with Daniel Yeaman. You ready to go wheel-to-wheel racing with a roof over us?
Indeed, David. Good to have you with us for Ozicar here this week. Although not every car that's out here on the circuit tonight is going to have a roof. There's a certain Mazda MX-5 kicking around amongst the drivers here tonight that is roofless, just to mix things up amongst the hard-headed tops of Most of our drivers, though, who very much are in closed roof vehicles this evening once again.
So this is the racetrack, the Grand Prix layout. Front straight inside of the oval. But I believe doesn't really run much these days. But feels like 90-degree turns for 1 and 2. A little deceptive at 3 and 4, where the first one's tighter, the second one a little bit wider. Great overtaking opportunities at turn 5, turn 10, turn 11 in particular. Super downhill braking zone, really elongates the braking zone. Chance to make some passes through there. All up, 4.8 kilometers, some of it inside of the oval, some of it outside, all of it under floodlights. One of the earliest iRacing tracks to allow you to race at night.
It's a fascinating little bit of history there, indeed. I think, unfortunately, it was earthquakes about nearly a decade ago that more or less rendered the oval in a disused state, despite what we have preserved here virtually. But the racing continues on the road course here, and we continue in that fashion tonight. So, for those who haven't watched one of our Ozicar Tin Top Cup broadcasts this season, we have ourselves the Mazda MX-5 Cup, the Renault Clio, and the Toyota GR86 available to the drivers to use as they so wish. The Clio and the Toyota, as you can see on the graphic, have been hit with a power deficit, down to 98% of their maximum available power, but drivers are free to jump in and out of the cars however they wish during the season. Although so far I've seen drivers be pretty stable and steady with their car picks in this season. They've had 1 lap, although 10 minutes to decide when to do that lap. It's tonight in qualifying, David, and it's a 50-minute or 22-lap race with a compulsory pit stop for 2 tyres to factor in here coming up as well.
Yep, I can see Elliot D in a Mazda MX-5 out there right now. All these cars have got headlights, but the track lights are on as well. So that will hopefully help the drivers navigate through the slim chance of a little bit of weather and a little bit of fog. The Mazda MX-5 at its full power, the Renault Clio's turbocharged engine slightly reduced, and the Toyota GR86's 2.4 litre boxer slightly reduced as well. Jamie Stovall and John Merritt sharing the top step right now as far as championship standings go. Brodie Shepherd, Tim Harris, Trevor Hearn and Tony Baker. This is the grid. John Merritt and Adrian Duke are on the front row of the grid, separated by a tiny margin. Then there's Tim Harris and Tony Baker, Pulse Tuning and Chuka Toyota teammates on the next row. Mazda MX-5 here from Jamie Stovall alongside a GR86. We've got Baker there, Sean Doyle and Trevor Hearn. Quite a lot of GR86s represented at the front of the grid.
Pardon me there, David. So, we just jumped over 9th and 10th in that one there.
Michael Cullen and Cameron Edwards 9th and 10th. John Snell, Ira Felberg 11th and 12th. There's a Renault Clio. And then Nathan Verney, Warren Henry 13th and 14th. 15th is Brendan Nealon and Andrew Green there 16th. Last driver with a qualifying time, because with 1 qualifying opportunity, Phil King, Trevor Mortimer, Daniel Stevens, Elliot D and Benjamin Wheeler didn't set one. So track limits, whatever it may be, they're revving, they're ready to go. It's 50 minutes at Motegi and away we go. Really tall first gear for the Toyota GR86. There's a few of them struggling to get away compared to the short gears, the short ratios of the Renault Clios that have made up a couple of positions. So they do race differently. It's cold tyres for all though as we work through turns 1 and 2 in the darkness and in the fog.
Yep, and now heading up towards turn number 3. We look to make our way down towards the second braking zone of the circuit. This double back pair over 90-ish degree corners here, David, with plenty of track width to allow the drivers some room to negotiate here. Does mean at the very front of the field it is Merritt from Duke unchanged, but then it gets a little mixed up there. Good jump from Jamie Stovall in the Mazda MX-5. They're up to 3rd place, which took the win last time out at Fuji 2 weeks ago with a last lap slipstream drag run to the checkered flag. There's car out in the background. It looks like it might be Sean Doyle. But yes, it is, unfortunately.
A few of them got together at turn 5 there, just before you turn underneath the bridge. Difference of speed on the exit. and just a few collide. It's created what you see here. They're still racing 2 wide. It was 3, kind of 4 wide through there for a moment. Sean Doyle loses 7 positions. Cameron Edwards loses a couple of positions. Daniel Stevens sneaks through to pick up a whole bunch. Now we've got 3 wide heading into this S's section in the outfield. His leader remains John Merritt from Adrian Duke.
Well, if you wanted pack racing tonight, David, sign these gents up because they've all decided to have a good crack at it here. Not even into the end of the first lap, and I'm just seeing a refusal to let anything go to coast.
Yeah, seeing MX-5 is just a tiny bit more straight line speed, but the GR86's wider tyres, slicker tyres, getting more traction out of the slow corners seems to be the difference. And the GR86s pull really well through the corners and off the corners, but any time there's a long straight, the smaller MX-5 able to pull away. Nathan Verney, a black flag out for him, so this seems rather tactical.
Well, has to get a compulsory pit stop done at some point during the race for 2 tyres. Looks like he's going to opt to do that right off the rip here tonight. So, hopefully that works out for him, you'd have to say, because if he's made that right, made the call right here at the start of the race, and that works as intended, that'd be a pretty smart move with the way they're scrapping in the mid-pack.
John Merritt can stay out in front with Adrian Duke, though. Merritt's got about a 1-second lead here. Jamie Stovall in third, still the best placed MX-5 for the moment. Straight line speed in the MX-5. Just keeping a few behind it. There's Tim Harris, Tony Baker, Trevor Hearn, they're all there. None of them can quite pass him at the moment. Nice hotel on the hill there.
Often find there's some interesting, I mean, mobility resort, it's almost in the name these days, although I think an older scan, older configuration of the circuit here at Motegi might not necessarily fully represent things. As Stovall under pressure from Tim Harris, Tony Baker, Trevor Hearn, triple Toyota threat there, but gets through turn 10, I believe that might be. Yeah, so that would be about turn 10 or so, and is able to hang on thanks to the added power, or untapped power, I should say. He's got there, as we're hearing in the background on the radio, David. She's from Ira Feldberg with his connection. Has decided to play it safe, concede some spots for now, just to not have any issues.
So his clear cut car drops back. We've worked out the advantages of the MX-5 car. Clear going to be better at. Perhaps it's braking. So perhaps not in Ira Feldberg's situation there. Certainly out of really slow speed corners and off the race start, their turbocharger and their short gearing really got them going well off the line. Jumped the Clios up a couple of spots in the very initial early going. So starting to see some best laps filter through. So John Merritt takes the fastest lap of the race right now. Interested to see if anyone who didn't qualify well begins to pick up a little bit of pace as we go on. This is with Feldberg. You can see the gears on the dash there, 5 speeds. And the tallest one in 5th is actually quite short, so you really do get through these gears early. Now, Ira, if you're listening, the peak power is a bit lower than that, so check it out. If you shift about 300 RPM shorter than that, you'll actually go faster.
Well, there you go, advice from the commentary box as it's elbows out in front between Dan Stevens and Michael Cullen. And both stay on the track, although for right over there, I'd suggest that was an only just moment, but we can do is, thanks to the power of Zoom and webcams, actually confirm we have both our drivers in this little battle here, able to share some screen time with us.
Dan Stevens started from 16th on the grid. He was the very last driver with a qualifying time. He's leapt forward from there in the GR86. Is that Michael Cullen in VR?
Yes, it is.
Right. It's got a couple of cables and whatnots hanging down. Using a sequential shifter, not paddles there, I think is accurate to the Toyota GR86, the North American version of this Cup racer.
Sounds about right to me as well, indeed. So that'll be one to watch out for here tonight, folks. Often see drivers like Dan Stevens have a highly sort of immersive in terms of the kit he's chosen to put on the rig setups. And it looks like for Michael, well, he's going to immerse himself inside the virtual cockpit, David, but bring along the gear to make it feel like the real deal as well. In fact, even the fact he's got it set up as though he's in a left-hand drive car on the rig.
Can you read any text? Got to be sure the webcam's not mirroring. Sometimes some of them do that by default, like your phone's front-facing camera.
I believe those track racer logos on the seat are the right way around.
True that.
To be fair, I had to go and look at that at a closer angle than what I can see on my set. I had to go and open up the zoom window for that one there. So I don't blame you for asking at the moment. And they're going to be joined now by Sean Doyle, who's looking to recover a little bit after the trip up on lap 1 that saw him somewhat around. And speaking of that, perhaps an opportune time to have a look at our first Ozicar replay of the race here tonight. If I can go and cue that for us.
So it was here at turn 5 on the opening lap where things really kicked off. The differences in speeds, tyre temperature, etc. between the few cars. A few to come together, a few drivers losing out from that, a few drivers gaining from that. It was a bit of a mess for a couple of corners. They remained 3, sort of 4 wide. So here,
outside of Vernie,
bit between Vernie and Doyle there, and then as those two are held up, cars sweep by this side, that side, either side. So this is on board.
Oh, pinch.
Vernie, Doyle pinches him, to be fair.
Yeah. A minor, but important misjudgment there, unfortunately, from Sean Doyle. Hopefully nothing too much of a major harm, major foul situation there. They can move on from that one. And that's what was that little moment back on lap 1 of the race. Now on lap 4, heading into this part. Vernie still back on his own, being again the only driver that completed his compulsory stop for the race. Battles further up the field though. Trevor Mortimer and Ryan Henry tuning in around Ding and Intel. So double attack from using Mazda here.
And they're coming across the line. So keeping up with some of the lap times. Fastest lap looks like it still belongs to John Merritt's tread GR86. My understanding of the tyre change on the GR86 is it's not especially rapid though. 5 lugs per wheel, and they don't seem to do them in super rapid fashion. And down further parts of the order, so that's Merritt's lap time, fastest lap, 9/10 quicker than Jamie Stovall's best in 3rd, but Stovall's just matched his best for a 2nd lap in a row. Well, a few of the GR86s seem to have just lost 2 or 3 tenths from their best. So the profile of the drop-off of your fastest laps as you keep heating the tyres will be different car to car. Some will sort of heat up, get a little bit slipperier, and it's sort of the 2nd lap of the run that's the absolute fastest, whereas some cars can keep getting faster as they burn off some fuel. All of it is so many things to keep in mind and calculate when you're deciding which is going to be the fastest car, and then no good having some theoretically great pace and pit stops if you're constantly getting mugged on track trying to hold position. That's where things are going to become difficult for Jamie Stovall. I think the GR86s are losing patience behind him. Tim Harris is thinking, can I nibble this off? And if the GR86s start racing wheel to wheel with him, he'll really lose some time.
Yeah, that's going to be this is a fascinating sort of calculation game as to who can you work with best, which cars are going to be able to work against you. I think the obviously the note is with no power deficit aboard the Mazda MX-5 here tonight. It has the ability to punch out of the corners a little better, as you sort of see here, but draft is strong, and once these 86s sort of wind up a bit, not too shabby. Plus, as you pointed out earlier on there, David, better tyres, better brakes, and we've seen it in the first 2 rounds as well as evidence. If the drivers know what they're doing with their cars, they will get to the corner faster during a deceleration phase.
Yeah, with the power clipped just a little bit on those GR86s, you see they don't have a straight line speed advantage, but they're really good through these corners here. And then getting to throttle just a little bit earlier, they sort of get to the rear bumper of the Mazda, that then just stretches a car length or 2, but that's a really good job to stay close. You can break deeper in the GR86 here. Tim Harris is going to go to 3rd, and like I said, once they start fighting Jamie Stovall, he's going to start losing a whole lot of time. Tony Baker next, Trevor Hearn could be next as well. They're going to need to block out Jamie Stovall's straight line pace. And a couple of the GR86s get ahead for the moment. With that compulsory pit stop to come, the GR86 stop could be a little bit longer than the MX-5 stop. Nathan Verney's stop was 13 seconds in an MX-5. Jamie Stovall tries to defend against Trevor Hearn, and in doing so just loses a couple of car lengths to these GR86s in front.
Yeah, this is the give and the take of battle. What are you able to give up? More importantly is, what are you able to do in terms of not losing time out in the circuit? That is the great challenge, of course. As for Merritt, it's been fairly smooth sailing tonight, and he's working his way. You can see down the end of the back stretch here to swing on around here into Arsenal Park. In plenty of races we've seen before, we use the east-only configuration, and they'll take a cut to the right there, but here on the Grand Prix course, through the left-right sort of dog leg, bringing you back onto the start-finish stretch, and then, as you said, running along the inside of the oval here towards turn 1 and 2 once more here.
John Merritt sets a new fastest lap of the race. So 2 laps in a row, he's just ratcheted up the pace somewhat, moving more than 3 seconds ahead of Adrian Duke, also in the GR86. He's been keeping an eye on the GR86 versus Mazda battle, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th. He's settled just a tiny bit there. Sean Doyle is going to bring his GR86 to the lane and give us an idea of what a 2-tyre change is like for the Toyota. My understanding was it might take just a little bit longer than 13 seconds. It's already been 6. It's already been 10. And now it's already been 13, so just a tiny bit longer. And in fact, because Doyle and Verney were together on track and a little too close together on track, where Doyle blends relative to Nathan Verney is a very good metric of the difference in the pit stop times. Doyle is ahead by quite a bit. I wonder if Nathan Verney had another problem.
Yeah, because the pit stop times don't suggest that there should be any issues between these 2 drivers. Get them up here on the screen for us all. Let's try again. There we go. So to confirm, those of you paying attention to our data, there's the pit stop time comparison. You can see very much Verney, okay, not so great through the lane relative to his box time, but all fine and well. And then if we particularly look, okay, there you go. Big issue on lap 4 for Nathan Verney. That seems to sort of point the finger.
I see a slightly different stop time for Nathan Verney that's about a second longer, and that would track with Doyle's lane time being 2 seconds longer if his stop was also only 2 seconds longer. So I don't normally want to claim JRT more accurate than ATVO as far as measuring the pit stops and the sectors and everything, but in this case, the data that I see from my end just makes a tiny bit more sense to me.
If the data doesn't make sense, then fair play on that one there.
Another fastest lap of the race for John Merritt. So this is good for him to have his nose in front, have the clean air, be able to keep extending. And his closest rivals on track right now at the moment are also the Toyota GR86s. So he's got advantage over them, and he's got 8.5 seconds to the best placed Mazda MX-5. And at the moment, we're not seeing 8.5 seconds of delta in the pit stop time between the 2 cars. John Merritt might be working himself just enough margin for the moment. Where's the best Renault Clio? Is it
believe singular.
Just Ira Felberg.
Clear. Let's bring up on the manufacturer's tab. Yes, it would appear there are 19 runners. Ira Felberg is the sole clear amongst that tower there. Fortunately for Ira, some connection issues has meant he's dropped back and try and find some safe space, as it were, on the road to keep in the race. But you can see there, he's not detached from everyone. He's got all the way up to about Michael Cullen, I think it was, at the far end of the shot coming here to turn 5, but Ira is now just entering. So if things are steady and stable, it's taking a bit of extra liberties with the track limits there on that one. Ira can work his way back into, as you said, clear. It's got some good punch with that turbocharged engine and short ratios.
Yeah, and slick tyres, but narrow little ones on it. I think they're 205s. Anyone made slick racing tyres that narrow? The Clio's got them. Elliot D's trying to stick a move on Michael Cullen. This is going to be a tough one because the Mazda's pinched all the way to the inside. The GR86 is often brake later. I think the GR86 would be the perfect car to go over-under on this. But D stays ahead. We're about to get onto the front straight as well. So anywhere there's a sustained full throttle, the Mazda MX-5's in its element. GR86 carries so much more speed out the final corner, pulls out of the toe, and it's going to have the inside. I think that's where you want to be for turns 1 and 2. GR86 brakes so much deeper. Sustained double apex right-hander. It's right in the element of the GR86 with its custom shocks, custom tyres, extra width, flared wheel arches. Sustained cornering is the advantage of the GR86. Sustained full throttle is the advantage of the MX-5 right now.
Trying to hang on there, as D suggests, but appear to be just a little down in the corners, and it's hurting as a result. Power benefits he has relative to the 86s is just not going to quite offset it if he can't nail the corners, and doesn't have a huge long straight away. We saw Fuji 2X go for round 2 to sort of offset the handling differences between these machines here tonight. So this battle will continue adieu. What's also continuing on the track here is Trevor Mortimer and Dan Stevens sticking quite close to each other, just up the road in front of Cullen and D and Edwards over 8th and 9th.
Yeah, here's two drivers that didn't qualify, so they're both up 9 positions moving through the field. Last laps in the 2:12.4s. Dan Stevens continues to look behind Trevor Mortimer. That says that Stevens has been losing just a little bit of time. No?
It did, yes.
It looks backwards.
I was looking.
This is a pit entry. One that you do have to be a bit careful about. There's penalties for getting it completely wrong. And Dan Stevens is in. And Michael Cullen's around.
I heard sounds. And now we have the visual proof. Bit of a moment there here for our Pixel Racing Club entry tonight. Let's go and pick up on the replay here how this one's unfolding.
Into the final chicane. Oh, he's lost the rear early and had a snap. So it's a very cold, dry track. Sometimes in really high grip conditions. This GR86 sort of has some odd behaviour.
And how's this for Ben Wheeler when it comes to the incident avoidance? He comes in at full tilt, and hang on, there's a slow car on the racing line there. Did he actually get him?
I see that slightly differently, where that car was there the whole time and Wheeler just sort of didn't.
Well, yes, that is a fair point to make. Yes, might hopefully would have been visible in that bright yellow paint, but alas, thankfully contact wasn't involved.
And again? Or not. Maybe a couple too many shots of espresso as we battle at the far end of the racetrack, one of the highest points of the racetrack. Turn 10. And then you pick up a good bit of speed out of that slow corner. You run down the straight here, and it's down the straight to a long downhill braking zone. About the same time. Okay, and Warren Henry decides he's going to hit pit lane. Now, Daniel Stevens' pit stop was more like 14 seconds. So it was shorter still than Sean Doyle. About to see another Mazda MX-5 pit stop from Warren Henry here. And this is Dan Stevens having made his stop on track right with Sean Doyle, also made his stop. Down to turn 1, Sean Doyle has the inside. Long, double apex right-hander. Oh, but a bit of a slide from Doyle. Loses the rear, has to save it. Loses his momentum through the corners, which is so critical to driving this GR86. Missing a little bit of power, but still with a lot of braking and cornering grip. You've got to flow your speed through the corners, and if you can't, you'll find yourself under fire. Stevens gets to the inside at turn 3. Really quick turn 4 is basically flatted out for these guys. And he's gone all the way to the end of the naturally aspirated rev range before pulling the next gear. 6 sequential speeds for the GR86. Inside, another flat out sweeper into an S's, so I'm not sure that the inside line really has any advantage here. I think they remain level. It's even Stevens, if you will. Sean Doyle around the outside of the first segment, inside of the next segment, but now it favours the driver on driver's left hand side. Dan Stevens has the inside, but this really sharp corner. Ahead by a car length right now. For these guys who've stopped relatively early, after 6 and 9 laps of a 22-lap race. Battling each other and losing time right now means everyone else that they were battling before they pitted is getting a pretty decent overcut on these two GR86s.
Speaking of battles, it's on once again. Trevor Hearn, Jamie Stovall. The initial battle pack that was for second has splintered now. Pardon me, third, apologies. You've got Tim Harris, Tony Baker together up the road by about 5 seconds here from Trevor Hearn. There they are in the mid shot, and Adrian Duke way out in the background of the shot there. So that was 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Just able to stay in shot together as turn 5 we go here with the Castrol Daunt machine here. Certainly trying to look like a Tom Supra.
Looks more like a Celica to me. I reckon it's bypassed the air restrictor.
Yeah, no, fair point. This is really showing my lack of knowledge over exactly all of the...
to be fair, that probably is the Super GT livery if it says Bridgestone and some of the other stuff. And Tom's as well. So...
yeah, that's
off-roading. Well, so now maybe it is a rally car. He's off-roading it a bit there.
It's clearly to embrace both parts of the heritage. I was under the impression Tom's was more specifically active within the local Japanese motorsport scene, but nevertheless having a really wring the neck out of the 86 through the corners, because here comes Jamie with the straight line once again. And doors wide open, and here we are. 98% power on a Toyota versus 100% in a Mazda. And that, as we've been seeing so far in this race, so once again, Hearn there, able to slam the anchors and get the nose ahead through the braking and cornering phase.
They're not making a whole lot of time doing this. Tony Baker pits and Jamie Stovall pits. So there's Baker with pit stall quite far down towards the end. Jamie Stovall likewise. Do you read Japanese? You seem like someone who could read Japanese.
Unfortunately, German to a small degree was what I learned in school and then university. Have never taken on the task of learning an entirely different typeface and written language, unfortunately, in my life. It feels like a missed opportunity, and so far at least.
So looking at the times, about 13 seconds for Jamie Stovall, about 15 for Tony Baker. I'm seeing a lot more variation to the GR86 stops than the others, and Ira Felberg was 20, so they didn't change quickly on that Renault. He's down to 18th as Elliot D and Michael Cullen also stop. D in the Mazda got about a 14-second stop, and Michael Cullen in the Toyota, not look like he's got a whole lot of grip just as those tyres are cold. Warren Henry is going to continue to battle with him, and Jamie Stovall with his new tyres battling Benjamin Wheeler as well. And you have your top 6 yet to pit.
Stretch it out here today, it would seem, on the opening stint. We are only just into the second half of the race, so there's a counter, but at the same time, some drivers, such as Nathan Birdie, having gone for the ultra long strategy, as Merritt, as the fuel burns down in his 86 out front. David, another fastest lap as he goes to 2:11.2 on that one there, and a cool 7/10 faster than anyone else on this circuit. And behind him, as shuffling as normal cars in the pit lane.
So we do. Tim Harris, Trevor Hearn, Trevor Mortimer. Competitive looking stop from Harris, competitive looking stop from Hearn. Come out behind Jamie Stovall because of how quick Stovall's pit stop was as a Mazda. No?
There's Harris into return 3. Stovall on his way there still. Harris now holds the lead of those who have pitted in this race. Just putting this up on town. You visualise it there. Christopher Johnson for
that for John Snell's the race leader John Merritt pits. So he had a handy little advantage over everybody. Adrian Duke stays out, that's him on the right hand side, going through to the race lead right now. Until he too has to make his compulsory stop. to work on John Merritt's car. He'll be hoping for under 16 seconds. Anything under 16 for him, I think, he'll be happy with. Or he doesn't get anything under 16. He gets one of the longer Toyota GR86 stops we've seen. He should have taken it to a Echuca Toyota to get serviced instead.
Well, I'm sure the boys there appreciate the plug. I get the feeling that might be been a little hard pressed to get servicing tools. At least I dare to presume such that they might be a bit of a struggle to get from Echuca to Motegi in a flash.
You're going to tell me there's not a lot of international departures from Echuca International Airport.
Wasn't attached the international to that airport's branding there. As I'll draw our attention back to the racing on circuit, perhaps, David, for a moment, because Dan Stevens, Sean Doyle can't seem to let go of each other at this point in the race. And Dan here trying to find his way through, but no dice right this second.
Called Echuca Aerodrome. There you go. They could take one of their paddle wheelers all the way north. Dan Stevens closing a whole heap on the brakes there, and having just a little bit of wheel work necessary in the middle of the corner. Underneath the oval banking, he goes, just almost pushing the driver in front along. And a whole lot of space to be found around the outside there. Behind Sean Doyle. Going to give him another little hello. Doyle pushes in a bit deep, has to catch the rear of the car with a little bit of counter steer. Reserves the inside line for the next corner where the two of them are going to, trade a door or two. And Stevens wants to go just straight round the outside. Doyle again has a little bit of a wiggle. Dan Stevens needs to get ahead and get clear before the next braking zone, and he does.
Well, that was a bit of a, I'm not letting you open up the entry to this next hairpin here because I want to keep this spot. Thank you very much. Style of negotiation there from Dan Stevens, although I wouldn't say it was negotiating, it might have been a bit more strong arm than negotiating. And Doyle to the inside through the kinks here. End of the lap, bit more wheel-to-wheel contact. Both drivers a little hairy on the exit. Doyle comes out in front this time as we start, well, these guys start lap 16 of their race.
Long stop for Cameron Edwards as well. Not sure what causes that one to go 23 seconds.
Could it be if the tyres change one at a time? Or maybe it's two to this, an axle or a side that's changed at the same time, and so if you don't do the right configuration of tyres, you have one of your tyre changes jump to a different side or end of the car, and that costs extra?
I'm pretty sure you can decide on two rights, two lefts, two rears, two fronts or whatever. There might be one combination that takes longer to do than the other. Henry in front of Michael Cullen. So Henry's fastest lap is a 14.7. Cullen's fastest lap is a 13.9. What it is not easy to do is to convert that 6 or 7 tenths of extra pace through the corners into 6 or 7 tenths of making a pass on a car that's faster than you in a straight line. Gavin Barber pits, so John Merritt goes back up to second, just waiting on the pit stop from Adrian Duke. In fact, it's more likely that the GR86 is a second and a half per lap faster through the corners, but 7/10 of a second per lap slower in the straight line, for a net of being just a little bit quicker around a lap, but in a way that really means you've got to set up moves long way in advance.
So, getting into the back half of this race now, it would appear, David, and also importantly, not many people left to do their stops. In fact, to specify a little bit more, it is purely now down to our powered by coffee entrance. Adrian Duke out in the lead of this race, and also Mr. Ben Wheatley here in 7th position. Amos trip down in the lane. Wait to see when they choose to get that done. Because currently speaking, Adrian's pace is pretty good for what he's been doing mostly in this race, but it's still a little slower than John Harris. That should exchange right around the pit stop quite nicely. We still can't have these two separate on the track yet, so Dan Stevens now continuing to assault the rear of Sean Boyle's Toyota.
Yeah, Doyle had a couple of car lengths of advantage after they made contact the other time in the final corner, and Stevens has caught him back up, setting him up quite similarly to how it happened before. Make him defend through the S's. Switch your line to be superior on the way out of the S's, but that's going to be the outside, the left-hander. So you need to go all the way around here to get the inside for the hairpin, and that's not happening. And Dan Stevens' front bumper and Sean Doyle's rear bumper know each other quite well at this point. But their doors know each other quite well as well. How about the quarter panels? Nearly.
Triggered this moment for driver of the 23 machine here tonight, as Stevens takes a bit of mowing services in the back straight there. We switch away. Before Mr. John Snell also into the back straight here, David. So is he going to overdrive it? Yes, unfortunately.
There's only room for so much runoff underneath the bridge, so having run wide, got a little bit of the grass and spun it. The wall's very close there, just before pit entry, where he has gone for the second time.
Yeah, that hit there actually caused a mechanical black flag, but thanks to the provisions of a fast repair, it has been all cleared up for one John Snell, and he's been able to get back out there and keep racing furthermore. All right, laps are ticking down here. No sign of a pit lane entry for Adrian Duke just yet. And he's got to get it done before the end of lap 20 in the information provided to the drivers from iRacing. So he's only got another 3 times past pit entry here to head right instead of left, and he'll take the first of those available options. Now we'll see as to exactly where he pops out.
Chicane in the pit entry, and you can't cut it or you'll get a penalty. So that slows them down before the pit lane speed limit even begins. The last few laps, John Merritt's been consistently faster, putting in an undercut against Adrian Duke. So expecting Merritt to go back to the lead of the race. He already had a lead of 7 or 8 seconds, I think, before all of these pit stops kicked off. So just as Adrian Duke services halfway through, John Merritt's on the front straight and going back through into the lead of the race. Adrian Duke still hoping for second though, I'm sure. Not a bad stop, a little bit quicker, about a second quicker than John Merritt's, but his stop was going to need to be 10 seconds quicker than John Merritt's to do a whole lot. There's Tim Harris in third, Tony Baker in fourth. Jamie Stovall still running fifth, ahead of Trevor Hearn. Ben Wheeler is the last driver who's going to need to take a compulsory pit stop, and he's doing that right now.
Well, there you go. So the answer was 18 laps for the Powered by Coffee entrance here tonight to check off their CPS requirements and be back on their merry way. So see Wheeler out of the pits for somewhat short order. And with all that, it's spaced out for the most part. Apart from Doyle and Stevens. And also here Michael Cullen and Henry. Trevor Hearn also pitching at the inroads on Jamie Stoll very slowly.
Fastest stop of the race going to Warren Henry there as well. So it's got him just in behind Michael Cullen for the moment. You're looking at another one of the reasons why the Toyota GR86 is a little bit slower in a straight line than the MX-5. It's that big hulking rear wing as well. And Wheeler on his outlap here, Elliott D just in behind in a Mazda MX-5. Might be a bit quicker through some of the corners right now, but he hasn't picked it. So Ben Wheeler hold him off just a little bit. That GR86 finds its feet again.
If Mr. D can make advantage of power and slipstream to have a go at the end of the backstretch, certainly getting the run, going to show the nose early, but not quite there in time. Maybe might have been better off staying directly behind on maximum draft and then pulling out for a late move on the brakes. But another time we'll have to wait and see, perhaps.
Yeah, not going to outbrake that Toyota for sure either. And I think how much work the slipstream was doing for him. If he was really going to go for the move, he maybe needed to pull out just a little bit later, really maximise the slipstreaming. And then Wheeler going for the rare no apex corner strategy. Through turn 7 into the outfield. And Stevens and Sean Doyle. Stevens on driver's left, Doyle on the driver's right. I want to be in Stevens' position, but
do you?
Yeah, no, I still do, because it's the inside at this left-hander. Gains, but he was just a little too far behind going into the corner. We're going to remain door to door. He's seen this tactic before. We've all seen this tactic before from Stevens heading towards the hairpin here. Well, it gets plenty of rotation, but he doesn't get a whole lot of traction, so Stevens got a little bit of overlap here. And down the back straight. Eerily quiet at those pits and paddocks for the East Circuit. Head down the hill. It looks good for Stevens. Doyle's trying to cross him up and over and wasn't afraid of sending a dive through here on previous laps. Now he's going to try to cross him back up and over again.
Stevens will get a reprieve in turns 1 and 2 on this occasion.
We move into 2 laps to go. Everyone's made their compulsory pit stops at Motegi for Ozicar Tin Top Cup. It is Toyota from a Mazda in 5th. Only Renault Clio was Ira Felberg is in 17th. The Renault didn't show a whole lot of pace, and then it has some really long stops as well. What it was amazing off the standing start. It jumped 4 or 5 positions like that. First gear, Toyota GR86 is not meant for the standing starts. It's meant for sort of 80k an hour rolling starts. Very tall first gear.
That sure is. So, the battle here between Stevens and Doyle. About the same gap between Wheeler and D here for 11th now. So, those are the two battles remaining on the circuit. Meanwhile, we've sort of not really checked in with Mr. John Merritt in a while. That's because it's been happy days for him tonight. David, he's going to see the white flag from Barney this time round. The final lap of this race underway here.
It's still ripping race leading pace because the fastest lap of the race is a 2:11.2, and that was just a 2:11.4 from John Merritt. So with the advantage that he's got, he still simply has not let up, looking to get 10 seconds ahead of Adrian Duke running in second place. And so there's a bit of spread across your top 7 to 8th place Daniel Stevens, 9th place Sean Doyle, 11th place Ben Wheeler, 12th place Elliot D. On the final lap, if a Mazda MX-5 can't get ahead on that back straight, you're not going to be able to stick a pass anywhere else on the final lap. Change of direction and getting to power in the right-hander, where you see Toyota pull a couple of car lengths, but then in the slipstream, Mazda just slowly claws back another 2 or 3 car lengths until we get to the braking zone, where it really looks like the Toyota pulls another car length or so. And here it turns 1 and 2. Ben Wheeler's fastest lap is a couple tenths quicker than Elliot D's as well, so if he just puts his head down here, slipstream is the only thing that's going to keep the Mazda in this, because the pace from Wheeler is quicker on his day. A little bit of dirt there. I think this last lap between Stevens and Doyle could get spicy, and that's exactly where we're going to go to look now. Stevens trying to fend him off, and John Merritt is going to take the win, 10 seconds ahead of Adrian Duke. The Toyota GR86 from Pulse Tuning Echuca Toyota is first across the line. Adrian Duke, Tim Harris back in third. Well, not looking close enough to send anything into turn 11, which has been one of the best overtaking opportunities. I think it's close enough to flash the headlights, though. Might have done that. Stevens has just managed to do enough to claim this one. He runs a little bit wide in the grass. They both do. Not close enough to throw a dive, surely. Close enough to make a little bit of contact and spin out. Sean Doyle spins from the final corner. And a few drivers could come through. Yeah, there goes Trevor Mortimer. And so Doyle actually loses a spot there. Stevens 8th, Mortimer 9th, and Sean Doyle 10th. Ben Wheeler's just ahead of Elliot D in that other battle we were checking in on.
Big old sin there. Not going to pay off for D, though, unfortunately. And close, but not quite either. Michael Cullen going to have actually caught up to and passed Cam Edwards on the final lap. Was that Edwards a little short? No, I think he's moved over on us a little bit there.
Well, he had a big slide out of the final corner. What we've seen in this car is that once you get a big slide on, the traction control kicks in and you kind of go nowhere. So then you've got to sort of settle it, straighten it out before you actually have any power.
Oh, someone has a dramatic finish to their race around the final couple of turns, and it looks like Brendan Nealon will be our last driver to take the checkered flag here tonight. Car paint appears to have not loaded properly. There should be a paint on that vehicle. Nope, just bring it in the final stretch now, David, and that'll be a wrap here from the Mobility Resort, Motegi. Round 3 of the Ozicar Tin Top Cup, and with Brendan across the line, we can now go to the race results.
Sure can. 21 drivers, 20 took the start, 19 finished. And this is the order. John Merritt, pole to the win, 10 seconds from Adrian Duke, Tim Harris, and Tony Baker. Jamie Stovall taking his Mazda MX-5 to 5th place there. Held a lot of them off early on. Once the GR86s can get clear, they were just a little bit faster tonight. Trevor Hearn in 6th from Gavin Barber, Dan Stevens, Trevor Mortimer, Sean Doyle, Benjamin Wheeler in 11th, and I think the next Mazda was Elliot D in 12th. Michael Cullen, Cameron Edwards, Juan Henry also driving one of the Mazdas there, 15th. Nathan Verney, Ira Felberg. Why have we spelled Ira's name wrong? Of everyone, what's going on there? Is that pulling from somewhere else? What does that pull from?
Yeah, maybe.
Okay,
We can always fix that.
bizarre.
Pretend that never happened.
Brendan Nealon last car on the lead lap. We saw that in the 18th. John Snell had to pit twice for the damage we saw he sustained. So he did his compulsory pit stop. Then he caught that grass, had the slide underneath the bridge, and he did have to pay the toll to the troll for that one, make a second pit stop, ended up a lap down. Andrew Green retired quite early in this one, and Phil King never started.
A unfortunately lonely visage there on the third and final page of the race results from Ozicar here tonight, David. But with that, we can now turn our attention to those who've had a successful night of racing here. I think it would suit appropriately to jump to the man, well, top of the podium, bottom of the podium. Who would you like to start with tonight?
I'm always a 3-2-1 kind of person, and that's why we go first to Tim Harris on the podium. Well, in the land of the rising sun, we raced after dark, and it was a bit of a Toyota GR86 lockout today.
Yeah, I think the track just suited the 86, and there's quite a threat of rain, so I think probably with the rain sort of hovering there off to the side, probably could have been definitely the car if it rained as well as the drive, but just that little bit more corner speed. I think obviously MX-5 had a bit of go on the straight line, but just that corner speed I think was eventually going to win out.
John Merritt ever give you any tips like drive faster, get good?
Yeah, there's a few, but I think we'll keep those a team secret. Don't really want those on the broadcast at the moment. So he's quick, old Johnny. We can't deny that, can we?
The secret third technique, which is pulling your finger out. So we'll see. Good battle yourself, a few of the others, and Jamie Stovall in the Mazda though. He wasn't going to let any Toyotas go easily.
No, he wasn't. But luckily, a little shake and bake engaged between me and my teammate Tony, and managed to throw a couple up the inside. So happy with that. But no, Jamie was doing a good job defending, and it was hard to get by. But I knew once we got past, would be right.
So what would even it up a little more? What changes would let a Renault and or even tempt you across into a Mazda?
It could be a little bit of weight, which might be a little bit more power tweaking, perhaps a little bit of weight, which might even things out a little bit, but that's getting pretty technical. So production car series, I don't know if we use the P word around here. I think we just have a bit of fun on a Monday night.
Third place, congratulations.
Awesome, mate. Thanks.
Dan in second was Adrian Duke.
He sure was indeed, and we bring him into the box here now. Adrian, starting on the front row and finishing second from the top here tonight. Looks pretty good there for you. Unfortunately, it got a little quiet there after the first couple laps, and you all spaced out.
I was happy for a quiet race, to be honest. Yeah, at the start, I was just trying to keep up with John and stay in his draft. Yeah, he got away from that pretty quick, and yeah, I just got lucky, I guess, with Jamie and MX5 and a few others fighting, and got myself a gap, and then it was pretty cruisy from there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a fair point indeed. It certainly wasn't straight from the start tonight that you were in clean air. It did take a bit of time for that to eventuate, but also was supposedly a threat of rain tonight, but it didn't eventuate. So was there a lot of preparation or much preparation that went into getting ready for potential wet weather from yourself or working with Ben in the Powered by Coffee cars, or was it being dry tonight sort of favourable at the end of the day?
I did actually try my setup in the wet, and it was terrible. So I'm glad no rain came along. Yeah, I had a setup prepared for a proper wet race, but yeah, if it was going to be interchangeable, our setup would have been pretty bad. So yeah, very happy it stayed dry.
Well, not long left here in Japan after the first 3 rounds now of this series. We have one more circuit to visit before we bring it on home for the final 2 rounds of the Tin Top Cup in this Asia Pacific themed season of the championship. So what are we thinking of the fact that we go from lengthy tracks like Fuji last time and Motegi tonight to Tsukuba for the 4th round in 2 weeks?
I really liked Tsukuba. I like the small kind of like go-karty bumpy tracks. They kind of suit my driving style. Yeah, so I'm excited for that one. And also, there's not much chance of draft on there. I kind of like being able to get a gap for myself and not have to worry about someone coming up from behind. So yeah, I'm very happy with short track.
Okay, yes, fair point. Well, we'll have to see if Ira tweaks things for Tsukuba or not, but nevertheless, I guess we've got to go off what we got for now, and that's a fair observation to make there indeed. Well, what on second place tonight here, Adrian? Who do you want to thank, if there's anyone you want to thank for helping you get it done here?
Ben and the cup of coffee I had this morning.
Thank you very much, Adrian. Second place there tonight. Well done. Hopefully chat to you again in 2 weeks at round 4.
Cheers. Thanks, guys.
And that leaves us with one final driver at the top of the podium to chat to here tonight. David, I will go and find us one John Merritt to speak with and bring him to the comments box to listen to your dulcet tones.
Thank you. Yes, race winner John Merritt joins us. Congrats. Adrian Duke tried to stay with you. You shook him a little bit with the early stop, and away you went to that 10-second win.
Yeah, no, it was a good run. Good run tonight. So the teammate had a good run, so good for the teams.
Yeah, indeed. So the standing start then, not something I think the Destroyer GR86 is actually really super built for. Seems like a few of the others can launch a little bit better, even if the GR86 was the fastest race pace car.
Yeah, definitely the MX5 and particularly the Clio. I think Clio's a monster off the line, so it sort of makes that initial run to a long-term one interesting. Unfortunately, I was sort of clear enough that it wasn't an issue, but I think Jamie got in front of a couple of guys early, and I know Ira sort of charged up. It's like it's got super traction off the line, the Clio.
It's got a turbo and short gears, so I think that does a lot of it. And how's at night at Motegi? This is one of those tracks where it's got lights, but it's still dark.
Yeah, it was actually really good. You notice the difference in front. You know, the main straight is so well lit, and then as you get around the back, it's obviously a bit darker, but certainly no issue. And I haven't run a heap of races here, but it's a good little track.
Well, fantastic. I think this will take you from a tie and put you to the championship lead after 3 rounds, John.
Yeah, I was just glad to make it back. Travelled back from Bathurst today, so I think I got on as I arrived home. So just made it by a skinniest margin.
Oh, that's good. I was driving along the Hume and I waved in the direction of Echuca. Did you see me?
Yeah, you would have been looking at Chikatata, surely, Dave.
I mean, I reckon they could have changed 2 tyres on a GR86 quicker than the pit crew seems to be able to do around here.
100%, mate. If I can substitute my crew, I'd be very happy.
And overall then, what's the strategy around when to take that pit stop and which 2 tyres to take?
Well, I was probably lucky. One of the teammates, Tony Baker, he pitted a bit earlier and he took one side tyres. I took rear. I just find if you can keep it to the same axle, it might help the balance a bit. The left certainly wear it probably a little bit more around here, but that was the strategy I went with just for a bit of safety, given track position.
Well, congrats, John, to the lead of the championship with a race win and the fastest lap. Who'd you like to thank?
Oh, Pulse Tuning for the awesome power, and we'll give a shout out to Chikatata and the teammates, obviously, for a good night. And thanks, Ira and SimSpeed for the broadcast.
Cheers. Let's put John Merritt back where we found him. He's pretty happy after that one, and hopefully he's had a good weekend as well. We're talking about we remain in Japan, and Adrian Duke's looking forward to it. Next round, round 4 of the Ozicar Tin Top Cup Season 9 is Monday the 17th of February from Tsukuba Circuit. It is a tight little go-kart track, passing difficult, slipstreaming not a whole lot. Wonder what balance we're going to see when we go there, Dan.
Yeah, that's going to be fascinating to watch. The power balancing that's been done so far has worked worked quite well at Fuji, maybe not so well here tonight. And we're going to have to try something a little different, I think, at Tsukuba to be effective when it comes to perhaps the strength of the Toyota 86 relative to the MX-5. Clio, we haven't seen a huge number of drivers in it, so it's a bit hard to say where that lies in the grand scheme of things. But before we think about 2 weeks' time, well, we've thought about it now, I should say, David, there's one other thing to think about in this world, and that's to get rid of that one there, because that's a bit of a mistake. But there's more broadcasting here tonight at SimSpeed TV, and starting any second now, pretty much, we will have week 6 of the iRacing Supercars series heading to the streets of Detroit, Belle Isle. So if you're looking for more sim racing coverage, David, you can join, Jake Sperry, Brady Baldwin, and Jay Kennedy for that one there, both here on SimSpeed's channels and over on iRacing's channels as well. But closing thoughts from tonight here, and John Merritt's comfortable and confident success at Motegi here at Ozicar.
Well, a great race where the Mazda MX-5 straight line performance let it hold a little bit of its own, but its clean air race pace not good enough to offset the pit stop differences. And we look forward to seeing how they go on a different circuit when the different characteristics of the 3 different cars shine. And that will be in 2 weeks' time from Tsukuba. That's all from Ozicar tonight. David Haynes with Daniel Yeaman as we say thank you to Prestige Trophy Badge and Engraving, Locked On Lads, and Ozicar in support of the No Social Hate campaign. Ozicar again in 2 weeks. More sim racing comes up now on SimSpeed TV. If you want to flick over and watch the supercars. If not, we'll see you for 2 weeks' time in Ozicar.